Good morning, everyone, and happy 12th, 2021, first coaching live event of the year. And I am Hope Borman. I'm the divisional president of High Trust Coaching, and I have with me one of our master level coaches, Dan Munford. So good morning, Mr. Dan.
Good morning. I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We're so excited, just kick off the year, kick off the new year. We've got so much to talk about today. Dan and I kind of thought, I always let one of our certified coaches, whoever's presenting, tell us what the topic was. And Dan really wanted to talk about the law of the ladder. And that is from Todd's book, in 14 Laws of High Trust Selling. And the law of the ladder says the success you achieve is directly related to the success that you conceive. And so we're going to get into that today, because what better time to be having this conversation than the very beginning of the new year. So Dan, one of the, obviously the core force and the core foundation to the law of the ladder is business planning. It's planning, business planning, life planning. So many of our coaching members, obviously they've got their business plans, they're done. If you're a member of High Trust Coaching, your business plan is already done. It was probably done in November and December. All of your one-on-ones with your team has been done. But there's a lot of us that are not in coaching right now. And it's really kind of interesting, some of the comments we've been getting from our coaching members that have kind of told us that before they started coaching, they never had a business plan. They never had a written business plan. So Dan, let's talk a little bit about what are some of the reasons why somebody would not sit down and do something so critical to their success?
Well, there's a couple things. I think if you think about it, first of all, if you don't have a good plan, you're planning to fail, right?
Yes.
That is literally right in the book. And so it's very, very important as we look at the new year to make sure we're planning. Even I didn't have a plan until I had met Todd, and this was
really?
years ago, but I didn't have a plan either. And then when I finally met Todd, I'll never forget it. I still have a red book in my drawer right here that has my very first business plan in it. And so it's really exciting to look back and to look forward. And so obviously business planning is looking forward. And as we talk about business planning, we've got to back up a little bit. And as we back up a little bit, number one is life planning. Number two is business planning. Number three is time planning. And number four is client planning. And so if you look at the core four plans that you need as a high trust sales individual, those are them. And then I actually have been thinking about this lately, because the book obviously was written a while ago, but what other plans do we need? But don't go on to other plans until you have your core four.
Right, exactly.
Go on to other plans until you have your core four, because the core four are the most important.
Yeah. One of the things,
but the one that does pop to my mind is a lot of people are doing social media nowadays. And what about a social media plan?
Yeah.
Just food for thought. But as we break into these individual core four, what are we actually talking about? What does a life plan include? And as I look at this, the life plan includes, first of all, your purpose. I listened to Todd this morning on his new series, and that was the subject today, and I was really excited about that. So your purpose
gave me, yes.
Yeah, I loved it. Both of them have been amazing so far. So if you aren't listening to Todd's new series, you should.
Yes, exactly. You should be. It's 21 days. It is hashtag 2020 gave me. Todd has invested so much of himself into these 20 days of video, and there's all kinds of free downloads that we're offering. And it's just an amazing way to start your day early in the morning. So if you haven't dialed in, make sure that you do. Just go into toddduncan.com, and you'll be able to find, you'll be able to find hashtag 2020. And we want you to, thank you for bringing this up, Dan. We want everyone to tell their own story.
Yeah.
So, put your own story of what 2020 gave you, and put your own story, because we would love to hear them. I know Todd would.
And so as we keep going through this, the things that are included in the life planning portion,
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously purpose, as we just said, it's values,
Mm-hmm.
it's your vision in your value areas, and then
Mm-hmm.
the short-term goals in each one of those areas, and then
Mm-hmm.
the daily activities that pave the way for
Yes.
your greater success and fulfillment in each one of those areas.
Yes.
So that's the core number one,
Mm-hmm.
is that plan, and then
Right.
obviously business plan. And this is, I think, the business plan is where a lot of people just don't know how to determine what they need for their business plan. And
Mm-hmm.
so the number one determination is your volume goals,
Mm-hmm.
annually and monthly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to go on to determine your daily numbers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I teach in coaching that I think is really, really important to the high trust methodologies is your daily number. And
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, it's anywhere between a half of a loan a day and or one or two loans a day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I always like people to think in the back of their head, just have the mindset of one a day.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple.
One of the things that you had talked about, Dan, in your write-up that you sent me is you talked about clarity, having clarity. So it's and that really kind of resonated for me, because I know that we have been going through this process with our coaching members, and we don't want just to throw out some numbers. We want to
No.
think about it, right? We want to have some real clarity as to what we want our business to look like, real clarity as to what we want our client experience to look like, what we want our partners to look like, what we want our business and production to look like, to have some real clarity. And that requires some reflection, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And where does it all start, really? If you think about it, the highest clarity I think that we need in order to write a business plan
Mm-hmm.
is clarity on our life.
Sure.
Because if we don't know why we're writing a business plan, or don't know why we're even in this business,
Thank you.
then why would we write a business plan?
Right, right.
But I truly believe having clarity in your life brings or helps bring clarity to your business,
Mm-hmm.
for a couple of reasons. One, how much time do you want to spend in or on your business?
Mm-hmm.
One of the things Todd teaches that I think is quite phenomenal is on rather than in.
Yes.
And man, I don't think a lot of loan officers realize how much time they're wasting
Mm-hmm.
by working in instead of on their business.
Yes. Yes.
You
And,
know,
and that, it's definitely a process. Good morning, Mike Lloyd. It's great to have you on with us on Coaching Live. Good morning. We can't always see who's joining us this morning, but when I see a name, I want to make sure we welcome them to Coaching Live. So welcome, Mike Lloyd. Mike Lloyd is one of our master level coaching members, and we're very, very excited to be working with him this year. But it's really kind of interesting is that I think having clarity let's talk a little bit. I mean, Dan, you and I have had some great conversations. And so let's talk a little bit about core values and having clarity around your core values.
well, I think it's, first of all, in order to write your life plan, that is the first thing you need to know.
Uh-huh.
And how do we do that? And we ask ourselves, the question, how,
Mm-hmm.
what's important about being successful to you? And then as we go deeper and deeper,
Mm-hmm.
we can filter out that core value,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really, really key to. I'll never forget when I wrote the first page of my life plan. It was in a hotel room at Sales Mastery in 2001 in Denver, Colorado, and we literally had just been given the assignment, and I was alone. And never in my life have I had so much clarity come to me in the thought process of what's important about being successful to me. Because as you think about that, it's not about money, and it's not about your numbers. It's about, your lifestyle and what
Mm-hmm.
you want and who you want to spend it with,
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so
Yeah.
those are really key. And obviously deep in within each one of us. And so not in sharing any of that, but
Mhm.
getting clear on yourself and learning about you. And one
Mhm.
of the things that I like to do that's kind of funny is I love to review my assessments. So when I do a disc assessment or when I do a different type of assessment, I love to review those. And I have 3 or 4 of them that I keep in a folder on my computer. And every once in a while, I'll just go through it and and learn a little bit about myself. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, exactly. Because we're always learning, right? We're always
Always.
growing. We're always learning, and it's always, asking, asking the right questions of ourselves. Not the why me or the why not me. It's like, what is this here to teach me?
Yeah.
What are these things that are here to teach me? I just learned this very, very recently, asking the right questions, not only, in our coaching, but asking ourselves those right questions. And I think that, the clarity around core values was something that Todd, that resonated for me early in my career with Todd Duncan, that he had taught us. And it kind of became my filter of the people that I did want in my partnerships and my relationships, and it became very easy to say no to the wrong relationships,
Absolutely.
wrong partnerships, right?
The other thing that it allows you to do, which I've utilized my core values for this as well,
Mhm.
it's a tool to help you make decisions throughout your life and in
Yeah.
business.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Yeah.
one of the things Todd says in the book is you have no business doing business if you're not going to do it trustworthily or with
Yeah.
trust or
Right.
honesty. And I
Thank
love that.
you. Oh
I
my
love
gosh.
that
Yes.
because man, can you imagine the lifestyle you would be living if you were a loan officer that wasn't being honest with your clients?
Hmm.
I can't even imagine putting my head on a pillow at night if that was the case. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So
Yes. I know.
it's
But it's
very
true because I had a mentor. Oh my gosh, very early in my career, who said to me, "You never want to be looking over your shoulder.
no, man,
Never want to be looking over your shoulder." And that was just solidified by what Todd teaches on trust.
yeah.
Being trustworthy, and requiring trust of others, right? I think that those things, that those foundation and core values are just so important and critical to everything that we do.
We truly can't expect to attain trust from our clients and or
Hmm.
our partners
Hmm.
unless we're going to give that back to them.
Thank you.
You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and so as we talk about business planning, that's a key to it is
Uh-huh.
doing it with clarity and with honesty and just phenomenal deep thought. I think it's very important. A lot of people just throw the numbers on the page and then don't think about it again. But if you think about it from the start of the planning system, which is life planning and then
Mhm.
business planning, then
Mhm.
you're actually taking it to the next level, I think.
Right.
You know.
So the biggest struggle, Dan, I think that most of us in our industry have is time management.
Oh yeah, for sure.
2020 was definitely, the biggest challenge I think many of us have ever had, with regard to time management. Obviously, we spent a tremendous amount of time managing that and coaching to that all year this last year. So, and I know that that's one of the core four. So, Dan, you talk to us a little bit about time planning.
Time planning is key, man. It's really interesting as I talk to people that don't understand the vital use of a calendar, and I truly
Mhm.
believe that the vital use of a calendar is one of the key things that I've put into play in coaching and in business. And as I do that, I mean, I literally even have on my on my calendar my morning routine in detail,
Mhm.
when I'm going to read, when I'm going to work out, when I'm going to do the things that I do in the morning. And I think that when you can see that on a daily basis, it
Mhm.
helps you create that habit.
Mhm.
One of the things that I think is vital is that excellence is not an action; it's actually a habit. So if we're gonna take our businesses to the next level because
Mhm.
we're being coached and because we're taking the time to invest in ourselves, then we
Yes.
got to realize that that excellence that we want to reach is actually a habit. It's
Mhm.
interesting.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah. No,
Um,
it's very true, and I think that that is, I think that we're hard on ourselves. I know that our coaching members, struggle with time blocking, which is one of the core, foundations of high trust selling is the time block. And one of the things that they, that we try to teach is that it is a process. It is a process, and if we can get one thing under our belt, then we go to the next. It's not time blocking your entire day and then just completely losing it altogether, right? Um,
well, one of the things I'll say here is if you haven't read Time Traps, you have to read Time Traps.
yes.
Time Traps is one of my all-time saved my life and career books for me in my career. And
Mhm.
I have written in that book more notes than you can imagine. I don't know. It's just every time I read something in both books, I get something new out of it. And
Sure.
one of the quotes in the book from Todd, based on time, says this: If you're not, if, excuse me, if you have not implemented an effective plan for maximizing your time on the job, you will never be fulfilled off the job.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, a lot of people think that your job and your home life are separate.
Yes.
And if we read that quote, it just brings it together. In
Mhm.
order for us to be legitimately fulfilled off the job, we
Mhm.
have to maximize our time. So
Mhm.
we know when we're going to walk out the door,
Mhm.
shut
Mhm.
off the computer. I
Yeah.
mean, how many people just don't know when that's okay to do? It's
Mhm.
pretty funny, actually. I,
Mhm.
I, I literally have written in my life plan, go home at 5 o'clock Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday and try to be off on Friday as best
Mhm.
much as I possibly can. Now,
Mhm.
I'm not saying that happens. I'm
Mhm.
saying that I try to. And so
Does it happen more often than not?
I would say 50-50.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay. Which is probably 50% more than it would happen if you didn't set it as a goal.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
so
Terrific.
I think the one of the keys here is blocking time for the things that are important throughout your
Mhm.
day so
Mhm.
that you can be fulfilled in your life. And I,
Mhm.
I love what he says there. I think it's key that we, as super busy, super stressed out salespeople, realize that if it's on the calendar, we need to complete it.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I actually have been going through a couple of things with one of my coaching members lately that talks about redefining his calendar and putting on there the things that need to be on there, such
Mhm.
as this event right here. You know,
Mhm.
I trust today every week. That was one of our things, and then 1 hour per week, I'm going to set aside time for this, you know and so and we talk about it kind of elementary here, but
Mhm.
literally, if you take the elementary thoughts here that we're talking about and you implement them, they
Mhm.
they become a work lifestyle
Mhm.
that will bring you so much happiness.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
kind of crazy.
It's such a vital piece of, of our success and achieving goals and all of that, that, one of the first things that I do when I start coaching is at some point in time, I want to know, what does your day look like? What does your calendar look like? And you're so right, Dan. If you put in your calendar that you are going to show up for coaching live, or that you're going to spend that hour reading. I know Trevor Hammond, who's on one of our other coaches, he has a specific time that he's reading, that he
Yeah,
just reads. And I'm sure you probably do as well.
I sure do. Yep.
Yes, you do. I do too. And so it's just really kind of interesting. And it's in my calendar. So 5 a.m., it's in my calendar that I'm reading from 5 a.m. to 6 to 6.
I love that. I
Yes,
love that.
I do.
One
And
of
it's
the
on my calendar. So it gets me out of bed at 4:30.
Yeah, the funny thing is we talk about these things that I truly think time blocking can help you create new habits. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons I say that is because obviously one of the things on my calendar is working out in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And how did I create that as a habit? And I've been doing it for years and years and years, but one of the things I did to create that as a habit is I literally, and I've told all my coaching members this, they all know this about me, I literally will wear my workout clothes to bed. And
Do you really?
yeah, it's kind of funny, but it pops me out of bed in the morning and gets me into the gym immediately. And so it's pretty
Fantastic.
interesting, thing to do. But preparation to create a new habit is kind of key.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely, Dan. And I think that's part of it. I think that's why, if we're not preparing to, to have, to get those ducks lined up, right? To have everything in place, to have your workout clothes are ready to go, or to be wrapping up the end of your day with knowing what you're going to do first thing when you come in the next morning. What are those non-negotiables? What are those things that, that have to get done? What is the flex time? Where is your flex time? Where is your breathing time? What was it Todd? Todd teaches us is every 17 minutes. We're getting up and we're walking around and taking a breath and walking outside and that type of thing. So if it's in your calendar, I think that there's just a certain level of accountability that happens.
And the other thing that I really like about it, that it does for me, I'm not saying it could do this for other people, but if I miss an item on my calendar, the guilt is relentless. Last year I set a social media plan up, and I put in place that I was going to do a social media post 3 times a week, right?
Okay.
Well, as the year went on and COVID came along and some things happened, I started to dive into a couple of other things a little deeper than I was that. And every morning when I see the thing on my calendar, and now the only thing I'm doing this year is creating a new plan so that I won't miss it anymore. So now everybody knows. Now I have the accountability, and I'm putting that together. So.
I know. I think that's the greatest trick, and it's something that I do myself as well. And it works. It works every time. And I think it's because we hold ourselves more accountable than anybody could ever hope to.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Well, and the other thing you mentioned, that we teach in high trust coaching that is really key is making sure that the things you don't want to do aren't on your calendar as well. And so when we look at our day, how are we dissecting it, and how are we figuring out what not to do or not to put on that calendar also? And so the things we do is we teach our people to track what you do every moment of every day for a week, right? And so in order to dial in this time block and this time plan, we really need to know what not to do as well as what to do. So track your week, give it a shot. I think it'd be ideal for that to be really eye-opening, give you clarity like we talked about.
It's a tremendous exercise that well worth the time and effort. I know that I did it, when I was first taught to me by Todd Duncan, and it was amazing, how many distractions I had all day long. And one of my goals with one of our master coaching members is to open up more time for him without having the wheels on the bus fall off. And so it's going to be an exercise that we're going to be working on, slowly but surely. But by this time next year, we will have accomplished, capturing more time for him, and to where he could be doing some of the things that he wants to be doing in his business and in his home life. So I think that would be amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the client plan.
The client plan is kind of one of my favorite ones to talk about, especially with coaching members and leaders. Because everybody kind of has a different idea of what this is. And so what I like to say is you need to find your perfect loan process and what that means to you and how you want to build that. Is there going to be a gifting program? Is there going to be a follow-up plan? Is your goal with the client plan to not receive phone calls from the client? That's one of the things that I strive for highly, is not to receive those phone calls, so that they're always informed and they're not calling me, I'm calling
Yes.
them, or I'm
Yes.
informing them in some sort of way.
I
And
agree.
so when you dissect this, I think you need to go from start to finish and
Mm-hmm.
make determinations based on how you're going to 5-star serve that client.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what does 5-star mean to you? And then don't forget, this is one of the things I love about our methodologies is don't forget to ask your client up front, what does 5-star service mean to you?
Yes.
Because if you don't know what it means to them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're not going to hit the mark.
Exactly. I love it. It's so true. And, I mean, obviously that's the high trust interview, right? But what does great communication look like to you? What does a world-class service look like to you? And you're so right. And I think that's, we kind of miss it. We kind of start deciding on, what we want, our customer experience to look like, but we're not asking that question. And I think that we're missing, we're absolutely missing the mark.
Absolutely. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people, a lot of coaching members do the high trust interview. A lot of them do it in their own way.
Mhm.
A lot of them do it sort of.
Yeah.
But what I like to say is, and I think the high trust interview is open to interpretation within
Uh-huh.
oneself.
Mhm.
But it does start with the question, what's important about this home loan to you? And so
Yes.
when you're adding in there what's important about, or what does 5-star service mean to you, then
Mhm.
you start out the process with your prospect better
Mhm.
than any other person they've ever met.
Yeah. Sing it.
That's the key right there.
Yes. Yes. It's so true. And every time I hear someone that's getting rate shopped, or even losing a deal because they weren't the call person, the on call person, that they didn't take a call on a Sunday night, so they lost the deal to someone. And I'm thinking to myself, I know you didn't do the high trust interview. I
Yeah,
know you didn't establish that relationship. I know you didn't, because
yeah,
that client would wait for you.
absolutely. And
Right?
I think that's the key. I actually recently had a transaction that was shopping us as a company, and we won the transaction even though we were $1,300 in cost worse. And it was due to the way we handled the transaction up front. And
Sure.
he literally said to me, just because of the way we've handled this up front, I'm
Hmm.
going with you because now I trust you.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's phenomenal.
that is. And you asked me what was important to me.
Yeah,
And so you now know that, what's important to me, and you've responded to that, and you've been sensitive to that, and you've delivered that, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, real quick, as we start to wrap this up, as
Uh-huh.
we bring these core four together,
Yes.
how do we do that? And I think the biggest thing is make sure your core four are done before you launch. And so
Hmm.
take the 90 days and do the 90-day burn and work together to put these all together, and don't launch until you're ready is kind of what I'm getting at. And
Yeah. Oh,
so
that's an important piece
90-day
right there.
burn before you actually start diving into this. And obviously that's really, really tough to do because you're going to still have to do business during those 90 days.
Hmm.
But I think having it dialed in is key. And man, I just get really excited about this stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I know. I get excited about it too. I mean, we're very, very excited for the new year, for 2021. We have high expectations. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity, and we're looking forward to yet another year. And we know that we're just gonna crush it. We know that we will. A lot of our coaching members, I didn't have one coaching member, even though they had the best production year of their career last year. Not one of them is backing off. Not
Yeah.
one is, I'm gonna do it again this year. And it may be different, and it may be difficult, and it may be harder, maybe more of a challenge, but I'm not going backwards.
Absolutely. Why
Yeah.
would we?
Why would you? Why would
All
you?
direction.
Right, exactly. So, Dan, I mean, I just a couple of announcements. Anyone who's not in high trust coaching, we do and don't know this. We do have free coaching consultations. All you have to do is go to hightrustcoaching.com for more information, and you can schedule a free coaching consultation with any one of our coach consultants. We highly invite you to do that so you can get your business plan off to the races. I want to wish all of our coaching members a very, very happy new year. From everyone, from Todd Duncan and myself and everyone here at High Trust and High Trust Coaching, Happy New Year. And I think the one and only last thing, Dan, what are your final words?
I think don't forget that excellence is not an action. It's actually a habit. And I'll leave you with that.
Okay. Exactly. And surround yourself. Iron sharpens iron. So make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people that are just as driven and accomplished as yourself.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Have a great week, and have a happy New Year. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you so much.